Hi, welcome to WolfTV. Today I am joined by Jason. I'm Dominic. John, unfortunately, is not around today. He's with a client, so we're going to push on without him. We're going to be talking about design sprints, which is a subject that we know a lot about and love to talk about.
Yeah, talk about it loads, don't we?
We do, all the time. So what we thought today would be good is to just sort of run through some of those sort of beginning questions around what a design sprint is and that type of thing. But we won't go into that just yet because we've got some lovely questions in the bowl. So I think you want to reach in.
So this is a good one to start with. What is a design sprint?
So it was written by Jake Knapp.
This one here, right?
Yeah, it's that one, and essentially it is a 5-day process for solving challenges. So basically that's what it is. Here at WolfCub we run a 4-day sprint, which is slightly different to the 5-day, but we'll go into that a little bit as and when we come to the questions. Let's get on to the second one. So who is a design sprint for?
Well, it's for, it can be used for so many people, so many different challenges, different sectors, but it naturally comes from the kind of digital product world. And I think that's where it's been embraced the most. And that's where we like to use it the most ourselves. So you can use it around services, you can use it around different types of challenges, but it just seems to work very, very well in digital product area. I think it's probably, not to go too much into detail, but I think it's the prototyping is a really important part of it, and it's really easy and efficient to prototype digital design than it is to do a prototype for maybe like a physical product, which you need to go some sort of like manufacturing, or to do a prototype for a service where you might need quite a few people. Using it for digital products is the best one that we believe is for, and what we do the most.
It is, and of course we're gonna push that because that is very much in our remit of what we do.
You're not supposed to say that bit.
Oh right, won't cut that bit out. Okay, who else is it for? Is there anything else that we've missed?
No. Next question.
Okay, go on, fire away.
Why should I run a design sprint?
I think, if you have a new product, or if you're looking to validate a business strategy, for instance, a design sprint is like one of the fastest ways.
It's in the name, right? It's a design sprint.
It is. Speed is essentially a very important factor in it, and that's why a lot of people like it, because you can get things done very quickly. You're able to rapidly prototype something within a matter of days and then get it validated.
With this, you're trying to get from point A to point B in 4 days. So such a short amount of time. The other thing for me is there's less wastage, because you're not having meetings for meetings' sake. You've got your framework, it's clearly defined, you've got the right people in the room at the right time, and you've got a lot of structure. That's important with stakeholders as well, because it's not just about getting a group of designers into a room and doing the sprint, or a group of UX people. You want people from different parts of the business. I think the third strength of doing a sprint is bringing in stakeholders who you want their input, because they might have some knowledge that your immediate product team might not have, or your immediate marketing team might not have. So you hear great examples of like someone from customer service at an organisation coming into the sprint and being like the voice of the customer, because they've had hundreds and hundreds of customer conversations over the years they've worked for the company. And having that person may not usually be involved in decision making or ideation or anything to do with the product. They're just in the customer service bit, and that's where they're siloed. So we're bringing people from different areas of the business, putting them in a room together and getting lots of interesting inputs. And I think that's a real strong part of doing a sprint.
I completely agree with you on that one. I think that's a very good thing to raise there around, involving and collaborating with the wider team. And that is what's also great about a sprint, because very often in any kind of product design or development, very rarely do you really get insights from across the business, because you're very much focused around the core team.
Why should you do it? For speed, don't waste anyone's time, and collaborating with team members you wouldn't necessarily think of.
Yeah, and you get a product validated at the end of it.
Yeah, it's the important bit, right?
Which is one of the most important bits, yeah. Definitely saving you time and saving you money, more importantly. Okay, right, let's get into the next one. So what's involved in a sprint?
We talk about it being 4 days for a Wolf Cub sprint.
Yes.
But before that, you've got to do your research.
Yeah, so the reason why we do a 4-day as opposed to a 5-day is just because of as we've run more sprints and as we've kind of collaborated with lots of different teams and we've started to really get to grips with the flow of how the sprint works. When you're trying to get all of these key people in the room, like we just spoke about, lots of different stakeholders, their time is very precious. The least amount of time that you have those people in the room, as important as they are, the easier it is for them to be able to sign things off like a sprint.
So even though we talk about a 4-day sprint, really we need 2 days from our clients.
Yeah, in terms of the actual sprint itself and that process, there is, so we've got day 1 where we come in, we'll start to define and sketch out the challenge that we're working on. Day 2 is all about sort of consolidating all of that research and all of that stuff that we've gathered and sketches that we've done with the team, and we start to storyboard it. And at the end of day 2, essentially what we come out with is a kind of physical sketched version of what the prototype will hopefully look like, and that's what we'll go in to do on day 3. So that will all be about prototyping, getting the headphones on.
And that's when we go back into the studio and start prototyping and start putting mock-ups together.
Yeah, and the team that you're working with, the company you're working with, can still very much be a part of that if that's a possibility. And then day 4 is all about testing, and then you're validating.
Bringing in customers, potential customers.
Yeah,
potential. And 5 of them usually, isn't it?
5 is essentially the optimal number, because after that, what you tend to do is you end up just getting similar type of feedback. So you're not really progressing, or in terms of finding anything new, you're just kind of regurgitating things that have already been discussed. So it can be in person or it can be remote. A lot of the time companies will want to be involved in that, and that's fine, but it doesn't necessarily mean like all the key stakeholders need to be in there, but members of the team may want to observe the testing, and for them that's kind of quite an exciting element to the sprint, because it gives them that first-hand experience of their users looking and working through a potential new feature or an idea that they've come up with for a product. It's really nice for them to see. Yeah. But one thing just that you touched on before, which I kind of just jumped over, was the research. So you, obviously before going into the sprint, you really need to make sure that you have an idea validated.
Yeah, it's about having the right challenge to work on.
Yeah. So for instance, as an example, we ran a design sprint with a client called Own Art, a sort of government-funded initiative to help people to purchase art. And so we worked with them through problem-solving kind of techniques to identify what their key challenge was, and then we pushed them right through into a sprint. And for them, it was a great way for the team to come together and collaborate. You don't need to be a designer. As long as you're able to draw a box or a square, you're fine. You can help sketch things out. And they loved it, and they got to sit in and be part of that whole validation process as well with the users.
That's great. And that website and product's live right now.
Yes, yeah.
Based on validated prototypes.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, like, the design sprint is really flexible, and it works. Cool. Okay, let's have a quick look. Is there any more in the bowl? I think we're done.
We're done.
Right. So.
Well, that was nice not having John around, wasn't it?
It was actually.
I
know. I'm kind of glad they.
Should try and get him have a few more days off.
Yeah. Obviously, joking aside, it's a shame that John couldn't be with us. Not really, but yes. So we are. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah. Hopefully that's.
Comment on anything that you want to know about a design sprint, or any kind of inputs you have, because there's lots of people with different ideas and critiques of the framework. So leave us a comment so we can talk about that and figure out what other people's views are.
There's definitely a lot more, I think, that we'd like to cover in terms of how you can implement them, and also things that perhaps maybe aren't in the book, which I think is a really important thing
look
to
on our
raise.
Website.
Yeah, we've
That's
got
a good place to go.
Yes, there's a great article on there which is called "Tooling Up for a Design Sprint," and that essentially has a bit of a breakdown there in terms of things that are not in the book. But hopefully we'll be able to cover those in future sessions. So great, thanks very much for joining us. Take care, and we'll see you next week.